Hello everyone, welcome back to FPL Jedi Show. This is the preview of Gameweek 12. My name is Hafiz and I would like to welcome my co-host Azmin to the stream. It has been a while since we live, man.
Yes, this international break where it's getting to the crunch stage for teams in terms of the qualifying, and some made it, some already knocked out. Yeah, so a bit sad. Teams, for example, like Hungary are out, and the island, and of course some controversies, including Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo, those kind of incidents happening as well. But yeah, it's been a bit entertaining because this is the international break where some make it through and some get knocked out. So yeah, it's quite interesting today.
Yep, we had a nice break, man. I think if you may recall, the Gameweek 11, we do not do any content.
Mm.
We decided to take some time off. I've also been busy with work and yourself. And then the international break quite timely coming up to hit, and we are more energized now because this is the crunch time, the crucial time. This could be the important part of the season because this will be a lot of fixture to coming and play for November until up to early January, which is the Christmas period and also the New Year. So I think this is pretty much an exciting time.
Yeah.
And but at the same time also must be wary what we should look at in terms of how we should plan out the team for the fixture congestion.
Yeah. So yeah, I did post in Blue Sky about how, with now that this IB is over, it just gets even more serious now. Now all how you position yourself. So for example, like myself, just speaking for myself, I'm at 3.2 million. So by the end of the year, before the end of the year, I need to be in a good position if I want to finish strongly and end up, in the 6-digit mark. I can't just, try do too many random picks in hopes that it will be, I will cause a jump into rank. You have to really, really look at it. If you're a casual, just like just go whatever, it's fine. But I think most of us watching, and most of us who really follow these streams or wanting to get data, we do want to finish as high as possible, and
Yep.
that starts now. You can't wait anymore. So let's get serious and get down to it.
All right, good stuff. I think what we're going to talk in this stream is definitely the landscape of the fixture coming up, Game Week 12 up to 17, 18, 19 until the early season of 2026. And then at the same time, we touch a bit how uh, the top performance so far after Game Week 11. We can take a look at the team of the season so far. We can take a look at the top 20 players. There's some interesting data we can see there. And then we can also look at the cheap strategy because I believe a lot of managers could be in the same boat like Azmin. I still have Freehit and triple captain cheat left. Yourself, later we'll look at your team. You already did bench boost last week, which is excellent in terms of points. Later we look at that. But definitely you still have your triple captainship. You're looking at which the right week to do that. And potentially some of the managers still holding that bench boost chip, which we can share some of our point where you can look at in terms of, because now you have to finish up your first initial chips prior. Game Week 19 will be your last one to activate this thing, right, man?
Yeah. And before Game Week 19, there's also the Game Week 16 where you get your 5 free transfers reset. So that's another thing that you have to take into account. Yeah, and probably you want the best to get rid of all your transfers that you currently have, because it will not, just to remind you, the 5 transfers will not add on to your existing bank. You just, if you don't have 5 transfers, if you only have 1 transfer, if you have 2 transfers, it becomes 5. game week 16. So it doesn't become 6 or 7 if you have existing ones. So just to remind you.
Yep, interesting one. But I think we can just also mention that Wolverhampton already have a new manager, Rob
Yep.
Edwards, who was a Luton manager a few years back. He won the promotion with Luton Town, and then recently also found out that he also was the Middlesbrough manager, who are flying right now in the championship. But
Yep.
he decided to call it a time for Borough and then move to Wolves, because I also dig up some information that Rob Edwards was a Wolves player somewhere in 2004, and then he managed Wolves Academy, have some spell there, and then he has some attachment to Wolves also. He decided that he wants to go back to where he kind of like have some connection in it. So he goes to Wolves, but at the same, in this juncture, Wolves are not looking great because he already only have 2 points so far. So Wolves is the candidate to be relegated this season, but Rob Edwards is there to just try to manage this thing. What do you think in terms of that appointment?
Oh, I'm really I know the timing of it. I'm surprised that Rob Edwards took it up, considering that Middlesbrough are really flying at the moment, and for him to leave, obviously your paychecks involved, but at the same time you have to think of your career as well, in terms of it's so high risk when you look at the Wolves where they are right now, and you'll the question is, by the end of Christmas, where you're gonna be. And if you look at this, as we'll probably take a look later, that fixture list isn't kind. There's not a lot where you can arguably think that you have a good possibility of running off for 3 points in a lot of those matches. So Rob Edwards is going to have to work really, really hard. It's one thing, it's easy to say that, he has an attachment with Wolves. He used to be, run the academy kind of thing, but that's a lot to do. And, I'm sure before he took up the appointment, he would have seen the players that he has at his disposal. I'm not filled with confidence at the moment, but hey, if magic does happen, we'll see what happens in the next couple of matches. But obviously, no one is going to be taking a punt with Wolves players at the moment until we see something.
Right, great stuff. We take a quick one prior to this game week 12 is game week 11, which you bench boosted. You got 65 points. You managed to get an excellent points from your bench, 25 points overall. You have Thiago there with a brace against Newcastle, got 13 points there, and also nice 9 points from KDH. Can you just talk about your team?
Yeah, so it was okay. So going into that, I decided I wanted to bench boost, and because I just couldn't figure out who to bench. Okay, to be fair, KDH was always going to be a bench. It really was between Thiago and Ballard. Now, I'm sure a few of you would say that, there's Diouf there, you should have benched. Of course, obviously you bench Diouf, but then Diouf was playing Burnley. West Ham was playing Burnley, so I would have thought that they would come out with points, and they did win it. It's just that my two players, Diouf and Bowen, did not actually contribute in terms of FPL points. But so it really just came down to Thiago and Ballard. And realistically speaking, the reason why I was a bit not sure with Thiago was because Newcastle, up until that point, their defense had been really good overall, despite, they didn't concede much and had low XGC compared. So I was a bit reluctant in terms of putting Thiago in. Whereas Ballard, and this is the controversy, I guess, because Ballard, I was personally very, very confident that he would return, even if it was against Arsenal. And it was just, I have been selling Ballard for quite a while now, I think. So I knew that Ballard has the potential in terms of set pieces, particularly to give, and I boldly predicted in I can't remember his Twitter Blue Sky that this is the match where Arsenal will concede. I said, yeah, and they did. And although, to be fair, it was as much a surprise to me as it was to anyone, that it was turned out to be Ballard who scored, who caused Arsenal to concede. And what it made it even crazy enough is the late equalizer by this guy called Bromsby was also assisted by Ballard. So it was just everything
Amazing.
turned right for me in that sense, you know. So, and then after that, I had this running bet with my one of my international friends, because he insisted that even though I bench boost, I should set my bench correctly and put Thiago up top and Ballard at the bottom. I said, it's correct, and I know you disagree with me. And then so if you remember, Sunderland's match was first. So so he got 10, and then said, okay, Thiago. And then I was telling him, okay, I still want you to win. I still want you to be the right one. And true enough, Thiago scored, and then of course there was a bit of luck as well, because Newcastle, one of Newcastle's players got sent off, Denburn. Yeah, and also led to the second, but it also helped to lead to the second goal. So yeah, I'm very, very happy. So that was the thing. And of course, KDH was man of the match in that game. Yeah, so he had that assist. He didn't score the goal, but that assist was great. And yeah, sorry, that's a different game, is it? Yeah, so yeah, KDH did well there.
I think Everton won 2-0 against Fulham, right?
Yeah, he scored. Yeah, so I guess, I wasn't confident because, KDH up to this point, he was doing set pieces and, taking corners, but it hadn't come to any FPL points. So I'm really, really happy that he scored. And I was just like, it's a good week for me. And it didn't help, of course. The thing is with Gabriel Timber blanking, but it blanked for everyone because everyone has, at least it looks like most people had two, whether it's Raya or Timber or
double defense.
So and of course, Crystal Palace blanking helped me. So yeah, in the end, was good week for me. 65 points.
We did discuss offline, man. Mbomo scored you a goal. I think United drew against Spurs, but Mbomo got that first goal. So Mbomo and Thiago will now is the most sought players for Gameweek 12. So you have that two main asset that people looking to add in to their current team, but you are in the right position right now. Just realizing after seeing your team right now, you have two Arsenal player there, two United player there, two West Ham player also in the form of Bowen and Diop. So without realizing that, those are the core player, and plus Donnarumma and Haaland from the City.
It's too City.
Yeah. So those are
okay. Yeah, they see that. On the Cunha set, I was pointed out to me that because I bought him 2 weeks back, and in those 2 weeks, Ahmad had scored in both games, had returned in both games. So it's really annoying because Ahmad's at 6 point something, and but
you had him somewhere, right? Prior to
yes, I think it was Gameweek 5 or 6, after a while, but then it didn't do anything for me. So yeah, well, let's see how United go. But United have now not lost for five matches now. They seems to have
they have some form right now.
Yeah, they have some form, so that's which makes it a bit hard to sell Cunha, even though he hasn't really returned.
Yeah, I agree. But if let's say you are looking at any United player right now, it's definitely Mbomo. He's the one. He already risen to 8.5, I believe. That is the price right now. If you want to get
happy with that.
As for my team, I think you mentioned about Crystal Palace. I said if you have in attack, Sa and Mateta disappoint. Palace end up only drew against Brighton near. So a clean sheet there. If you have any Palace defense like myself, have Richards, a clean sheet and defensive DC points. You have Lacrosse, so I think you also got that position. But Mark Gill absent because he injured, and he also not playing for England during this qualifying match. So this is something that you have to look at. But Crystal Palace, as I said, I brought in Sa 2 weeks back because I thought he will deliver in those two games at home, Brentford and Brighton, but he disappointed for sure. I did decided to take out Gyökeres because he potentially injured, and in the end, he is not in the squad against Sunderland, and I decided to shift my money to midfield and brought in Saka, who at least saved my blushes a bit because he got a 12 point. If not, I would definitely suffer this week. A lot of managers suffer around that 30 plus mark average point for this week, and that is the average point for GW11. But Saka saved my week. Bruno Fernandes produced an assist. Haaland missed a penalty, okay, but he still managed to get a goal, and that where the 4 points come in. But I just want to point out maybe my mistake or my judgment now. I am more clearer now in terms of defensive lineup. Van der Ven, I thought he could be the main man again, playing at home against United, but United are really on form right now. So no DC point for Van der Ven, but you can see that Anderson with 3 points and Senesi, despite Bournemouth lost 4-0, I mean, Senesi still got that DC points, 2 points. So I believe in terms of priority or in terms of my defense, Van der Ven, despite he can get crazy 1 week, delivering like 20 plus point or get a goal, but Anderson and Senesi will always be there in terms of DC points. So I can say there's some mistake there when deciding whether to play Van der Ven, Anderson or Senesi, because Anderson got that 2 DC point and only considered 2 goals against Everton, and he got that 1 point. So 3 points is better than 1 point for sure. So I think this is my learning, and moving forward, definitely Anderson and Senesi for me, and also Richards will be on my priority instead of Van der Ven. But fixture still matters to me. So I think that's, I just want to point out. You're on mute, me.
This is why leading up to the brace that he scored the other day,
Yeah.
the 20
Yeah,
pointer,
yeah.
why a lot of people who had him but benched him because it wasn't exactly something that they would expect to see in terms of DCs. Just even DCs, we're not even talking about the goals here, but just the DCs. And yeah, so far that's what's happened with VDV. He hasn't after that one, he hasn't gotten any DCs, and when you don't have any other returns as well, then he looks bad compared to Anderson and Senesi again. So it really does feel like you just have to gonna get lucky when it comes to VDV, I guess. I don't know. It's like, but when, because now they're playing Arsenal, and but if they're missing Gabriel, who knows, So that's something that you need to decide. Normally, right now, definitely he's on the bench, but with the Gabriel absence, I'm like, I'm possibly Khalif Fiori as well. I don't know where to wait for the team news for that. Then is VDV a punt? But yeah, from the looks of it, if we do choose to play VDV over the likes of Anderson and Senesi, it really is there has to be the fixture has to be either really good or you want to take a punt. So that's the thing, and you're right in terms of Senesi 4-0, but he still made up with 2 points like it never happened. So
something for me to learn for the past 10 or 11 weeks and moving forward. Let's go have a look at team of the season so far, mate. I think last time we look at this team, the formation will be 5 at the back, like 4 in midfield and 1 up front, which is Haaland. Haaland still the king. He produced the most points so far with 102 points. But who else from this side? Second place is Semenyo with 75 points, despite 0 points from last week. We have 4 representatives from Arsenal, 3 in defense in the form of Gabriel, Timber, and Calvary. I don't think there's a surprise there. But Declan Rice in midfield. 2 defensive midfielder, Declan Rice and Casado, 65 and 60 points. I just want to point out, my in-law have Casado, and I decided mention to him. I think Casado is your weak link, but I reversed my statement. I said, I think for now, you keep him because he's been delivering in terms of points. That's what I mentioned. Mbomo, 60 points. and Thiago is in this team because he scored at 30 points. If not, he will not be inside this team. Other than that, Mark Gale with 64 points, but Crimpy Butt, we have a lot of defenders coming up to threaten his position in terms of most scored. But in terms of goalkeeper, Sunderland goalkeeper, Royce, not even Raya can compete. He's the number one now with 56 points. Clearly, here, I think you can justify going double defense Arsenal. But who else that you are thinking that we should be pointing out to managers you are thinking moving forward? No, I'm mute.
Sorry, when I look at this, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 of these players already. 1, 2, 3, 6. I have 6 of these players already. Gabriel, Timber, Semenyo, Mbeumo, Haaland, and Thiago. So it's very like and the thing with Semenyo is that to illustrate just how well his early season is. In the last 3 games, he's pretty much blanked. And he's still up there. And not only is he up there, he's still leading that midfield pack. Despite blanking in the past 3. Whereas players like Mbeumo, it was on the last 3 or 4 that he started doing really, really well. Whereas Semenyo has so much credit in the bank from his first 7 weeks that he can still be in this team of the week despite blanking the last 3 games. The Arsenal triple. I don't know. I don't know anyone who went for Arsenal triple defense, but if they did, then well done them. But the thing is, if they did, I suspect most people would have had Raya plus Gabriel and one of Timber or Calafiori, rather Gabriel, Timber, and Calafiori. So I think Guehi is the one that's many totally would not have expected to be up here. And you got to give credit to Crystal Palace as well. For how well their defense has been. So let's say for myself, if I have 6, I have to hit myself for not, during my wild card, for not going for Ruffs, is that how you pronounce it? Sunderland keeper? Yeah. But moving forward, I'm definitely looking at Rice. I just feel that if I wanted to go for a third Arsenal player, it looks... Because I did watch a few recent highlights of Arsenal's matches, and Rice always seems to pop up in the box, right while they're chasing a goal, he's there, and of course he takes set pieces as well, and it seems like he's been more productive with set pieces than Saka has at the moment, and he's becoming and when you look at his price, it's just even more attractive. So. And to be fair, while he is classified as defensive midfielder, I would argue he's a bit more box to box, with Zubimendi being more of that defensive side. But if you remember, even Zubimendi has scored goals as well. So that just gives credit to Arteta on how more well-rounded this current Arsenal side is.
Yeah, I agree. But if looking at this team, looking at the current performance, looking at how the season panned out so far, I think the 2 players that you have right now, Thiago and Mbeumo, is someone that I'm really, really looking if there is opportunity to get these 2 players, because I believe, despite AFCON commitment later, Mbeumo, you can touch on that, we should not be worrying so much on that because we're going to have like 5 free transfer later in somewhere Gameweek 16. But Thiago continue to tick. He also on penalty. He can be the talisman for Brentford, and he's cheap, below than 6.5 million.
So affordable.
Yeah, so that's why I'm thinking maybe you can mention it's a knee-jerk move, but it looks logical because Brentford are a decent team right now, despite you're worrying about Keith Andrew as the new manager. He has settled this team despite, I think he lost the first 2 games or something like that, but after that he managed to maneuver his team, and now we can see that Thiago, you are not worried without the likes of Mbeumo and Visa who left Brentford this summer. Looks like Thiago is an excellent replacement.
So Yeah, you're right. And I did during the IB, I did take a look at some Brentford forums. I actually went into forums just to see
Wow.
what they thought of the impact of um, Keith Andrews has been. And if when I scroll back and looking at that date stamp, looking at date stamps of the forum discussions way back in July or August, despite losing Mbuemo and Wissa, the last one was Wissa to who big one, and of course their keeper as well as their manager. But even back in August, most of the fans were not worried. They were actually quite positive, and they felt it's just part, and the argument was that it's part and process of how their club is now. They recruit well, and the ones who previously were at the back then have started to step up, and to be fair, it's the same with Brentford. Like if you remember last time, their talisman was Ivan Toney, and then he left, and then Mbuemo stepped up.
Yep.
And then Joy stepped Wissa, and now they've left, and guess what? Thiago stepped up as well. Damsgaard has stepped up, and Coyote plays like Coyote, and
Don't forget your team
doubt-
having Shade.
Pardon, and Sade as well stepping up, and there's someone that we can look at as well. But for me, it was really the players is one thing, but for me, having the manager step up as well, that is, for me, is the most impressive thing, because he's not recruited from other teams. He was brought up, bringing up from the Bradford infrastructure, and he's really stepped up. So for me, that was the biggest surprise, and I'm very happy to get on that train, and hopefully we'll see more people come on, because as we start, took most of us, it was late before we realized Brentford losing so many key players, but they aren't taking it lying down. They're doing well and punching well again.
Yeah. And Thiago is still owned only by 10% manager, and you can see that he's still low owned by me. And it's a bit different from Bomo. He's now owned by almost 32% manager, so it's definitely no more differential, but Thiago still is. So I think that is some opportunity that you can look at. All right, we touched a bit in terms of team of the season. Let's take a look of the landscape that you're going to face, mate, from Gameweek 12 until you can see up to the next early season until 7 January. I just want to point out a lovely illustration from Legomané, FPL Legomané. So if you're interested to see his contents, you can check it out. So here, I can just point out some of the important notes from this fixture bird view in terms of how it will be. It will be a congested time for everyone. I just want to point out no free midweek for a long time after this. I think the next international break will be somewhere in March. So pretty much all action in terms of Premier League. And we can confirm the first half of the season, there will be no double game week or blank game week, because I think we already decided, the FA already decided the match of Crystal Palace who advance to the Carabao Cup round 5 will sandwich between 16 and 17, and you can see that there's not a lot of recovery period for Crystal Palace. So we can touch on Palace later. And the top flight teams, I think whoever playing in the Champions League, in the Conference League, in the Europa League, those guys, between game week 12 and 16, you have to play every midweek. So there's no rest for those teams like the likes of Chelsea, City, Liverpool, the Arsenal, and so on. And mention about Carabao Cup, all round 5 you need to finish. That's why Crystal Palace have to play on the 16th December, because the Carabao Cup semi-final will be on the 13th January. So there's no space. They have to decide that. So that's why they have to play that match. Yeah. And the Palace being drawn against Arsenal, it will be a tricky one for the Carabao Cup round 5. And then after that, game week 18 to 21, the crunch time, the Christmas period, and so on, you have to play 4 matches in 11 days, and it will be a tough one. So there's definitely more attention to the team who are not involved in Europe, like Manchester United, like Bournemouth, like Brighton. We mentioned about Brentford. Maybe those are the team that you are thinking this, because you have to maneuver all these top teams. You have to think about your team in terms of your players, right? And then AFCON will play somewhere game week 16 onwards, right? Your game week 16 will be the one that you're going to awarded that 5 fixed transfer. So you have to use all your transfer prior to that game week until game week 15. So I think that's the landscape that we should focus on. So, Min, to you, what in your thinking when it comes to how to tackle this fixture
Yeah,
congestion?
it's really something that you need to work on, because obviously for those who have chips will probably be able to better maneuver, as the more chips you have, this really crunch time. When you look at all the teams that are involved in Europe, they are really super packed. When you look at the December matchup, because there's a midweek game week 14 is a midweek game week. So you got 13 to 15. It's really crunch time. And for those who are in Europe, they have matches before and after. So it's like you're looking at a 7-game week, a full truck for some of them. And of course, for teams like City, Newcastle, Chelsea, they also have the Carabao Cup round 5 to contend with. So City, Chelsea, and Newcastle are even worse. So you really need to be careful about packing up too many players from those teams, because they really have to balance, or well, not to say you can't, but you really have to look at it carefully to make decisions with that. Obviously for those of like Haaland, what we're not going to worry about. We're not going to sell Haaland if you have him, for those matches. But let's say, for example, you have Pedro and Enzo for Chelsea. Do you really want to keep having those two in this run of matches? And for Newcastle, we've seen them, their squad is really straining at the moment. So do you really want to have even one player from those for that during that stretch of matches? So it is something that you have to take into account. Obviously safe picks are might be the way to go. For example, for me, City, Donnarumma, that's not likely that he's going to, so there's no issue of fatigue in that sense, for example. But other players you really need to consider minimizing if you need to. So that is something that we have to take into account. So when you look at them, and so this is where players who are not involved in Europe can really come to the fore. Because they're not going to have any issues in terms of rest period. Not well, they do, but not as serious as those involved in Europe. And that's where the likes of Thiago, the likes of Semenyo, this and obviously importantly Manchester United, who are also not involved any Europe, and they also got knocked out of the Carabao Cup already. So you definitely some assets there that we can look through. And of course, those who not underestimating Sunderland anymore. Sunderland are there for you as well. Fulham, Bournemouth, Liverpool might be a tough one, but it's still manageable. West Ham, Newcastle, Brighton as well. And I just want to point out here that we were talking about Wolves earlier. So you look at that run of matches, man. You got Crystal Palace, then Aston Villa. Okay, Forest, you could argue, might have a chance. Manchester United, Arsenal, Brentford, Liverpool, and Manchester United until the end of the year. How many points are they realistically going to collect from that? It's going to take a turnaround of miraculous proportions by Rob Edwards to get maybe 6 points from there to get at the moment even 3 looks like a stretch. So we'll have to see with that Palace. If Wolves upset the apple cart and suddenly win against Palace, then we might see some magic.
So in other words, you mentioned we still continue to target Wolves.
Yes.
Wolves team regardless Rob Edwards in charge. I think
regardless. it's not an appointment that fills me with confidence, to be honest. But yeah, and the timing of it.
Yeah, I think I just want to touch on the Crystal Palace team main or assets, because someone like me, I have 3 Crystal Palace assets: Richards, Sa, and Mateta. And we mentioned about their fixture are full of until the early part of 26 January, because they are playing in all competition plus Carabao Cup. Okay, plus they have European Conference League match. Okay, so you can see there in game between Gameweek 16 and 17, they are playing. They won't be able to play Carabao Cup because they involve European Conference League, and then they have to play in 23rd December between 17 and 18. So to me, it just means I'm worried about my assets. Definitely, some Mateta, are they able to play all these matches? So there are more thinking I'm gonna put after this, whether they are, maybe you can target some of the match, but you're pretty sure after that 14, 15 somewhere, you won't be surprised if any the likes of Sao, Mateta, the Glasson are going to rotate or manage their minutes. So I'm worried on that. So I think I need to be careful on whether should I take out some of those Palace assets and move to others like the one that you mentioned are not involving in Europe competition. I think that's in my mind right now in terms of Palace asset.
Yeah, you'd probably, obviously you'd want to keep them for this game week, but after that you have to slowly plot how you want to reduce the dependency, and it does raise a question for those like myself who don't have any Palace assets, but looking at the worst fixture, how can I stop myself from getting someone from that one? But is it the right time to invest? It really dependent on your squad, really, because if you have the squad to take it, one asset, then maybe it's still viable to have it, but you still have to monitor how they field in Europe, and then that 3 straight one you got this midweek weekend. Palace squad doesn't exactly look deep, so you got to worry there. But to be fair, there is Burnley as the midweek match for that in December, so which arguably one of the punching bags of Premier League is there. So you would think that they would try to manage the minutes in terms of start and then we get subbed off, but then it becomes a problem. What if they're not winning the match? And you still keep your star players on to secure that win, and that is definitely going to happen for that Manchester United match, where it's going to be tougher, and that's where how Glasner manages Palace becomes key.
But you mentioned about that Burnley game, that could also be a potential rotation game where Glasner decided, maybe Mateta and Sa should be rested this game. I play the fringe player for this because they have more probability to win that game despite playing second fiddle, right? So
yeah,
that will work really.
Definitely. So you got players like Nketiah who will come in. I'm not sure about the midfield though, but yeah. But for Mateta, definitely there's someone like Nketiah who could potentially come in as well. Now that he's also, I believe he's recovered from injury as well. So let's see what will happen.
I think I just want to touch about Arsenal. You think that Arteta are going to play the same back four and so on, but you see that match, they're playing Spurs, and then Championship Bayern Munich, and then they play Chelsea derby. So I think can all say Gabriel out, can the likes of Timber or Calafrio, if he are going to play all those minutes, and then game 14 Brentford, and then 15 Villa. It's not easy. It may be easy looking at that on paper, but it's never easy playing the likes of Brentford and Villa. So we also need to be careful how all those Arsenal will play, right?
Definitely, and this is, and the thing with this edition of Arsenal has more depth. They definitely have better depth. You've got who's the guy from Brentford who they bought, Christian Nogard, who can come in and do a job. And then in terms of the wings, you've got in terms of the fullbacks, you also have White. yeah, Ben White, who can definitely come in and play. And then on the left, you got the Martinelli. I'm not sure.
Lewis Kelly.
Right, Lewis Kelly, yeah, who can play as well. So there's definitely some form of possible rotation as well. For the Spurs game, obviously it's a NLD, so you would think that they won't just start rotating from there. But players like Timber, there's a small risk of them. Although I do feel that it's more likely that he'll start Timber and sub him out early, for example. Yeah, so that's more likely because that Bayern Munich game is looks like it could be spicy. With the likes of Harry Kane, our ex-Spurs player, coming in. So yeah, and then Chelsea, Brentford, Aston Villa. So Arsenal are able to rotate a bit more this time around, although maybe not Saka because Saka's second is still injured. Madueke, I think, he's still injured. Yeah, so but Gabriel also has Mosquera to come in as well.
Yeah.
So they are in that position. I wouldn't be selling on that basis. Yeah, I will still sell based on injury rather than rotation for my Arsenal defense. But it is something that we need to be aware of and be careful of. And we do know that Arteta doesn't tell the truth at press conferences. So you're gonna have to make your judgment as well.
Yep, I agree. I think one team also need to point out, your team in Liverpool is where people are saying about this looks like a favorable fixture for Liverpool. You can see that. For us, we have West Ham, we have Sunderland there, Leeds, and Brighton in the next 5 or 6 game week. So potentially people are looking at tapping into the Liverpool assets. Despite Liverpool recent form, they lost to City, but fixture can bring form. So what do you think, Min?
Yeah, I'm in two minds about this. I do feel that it will be the case, but I do feel part of me thinks that it's subconscious bias on my end that Liverpool will recover. Forest, it's not as good as it looks. Sean Dykes with his long ball games as well. And Liverpool still haven't seemed to have adopted to the long ball strategy employed, and it was different last time when it was just one team, which was Stoke City. Now quite a few teams are employing that long ball game and long ball throw, I should say. So Slot needs to be able to handle that one. So, but as a result, well, not necessarily because of that, but we're not fully convinced yet, and it shames me as a Liverpool fan to say this. So, and to be honest, I am looking at Szoboszlai as my Liverpool player if I needed a replacement in midfield. But it's not an overpowering feeling that Liverpool will push through all these fixtures well, that becomes a must-have. It really it's tough lah, it doesn't look as easy.
Definitely there's a temptation, looking at those fixtures, even myself. So I'm thinking,
yeah, it's a temptation, but you got Forest, who's now under new management, and Sean Dyche managed to find that turn around. Looks like he's turned around the team. Then you got West Ham, who's won their last 2 matches, 3-1, 3-1. Then you have Sunderland, and Sunderland doesn't belong in the easy kill fixture list anymore, in my humble opinion. And after that is then only is Leeds. So it's not exactly a fixture list that pulls at you. So when the more I look at it, the more I'm still inclined to wait and see. I feel there are better picks to be had elsewhere. So no, for me it's still no Liverpool assets with one player I'm considering, which is Szoboszlai, depending on where I stand.
I think that's the talking point people are looking at in terms of getting Liverpool assets.
Just a note on Szoboszlai. So Hungary just got knocked out of the World Cup by Ireland. So I don't know, as the captain. So
definitely they're fairly frustrated in terms of getting those results. Maybe play into his mind, but we shall see after this international break. I think we just want to touch a bit in terms of the chip strategy. I think people are looking at. I think there's already conversation in the community talk about what's the best time for free hit and also triple captain. Let's go to free hit first because, like myself, I still have. You accidentally activated your free hit, but if not that case, you're definitely thinking about those cheap. So I think I just want to present you. These are the two game week that people are looking at, which is free hitting in game week 13 and 16. So I just want to share why the community are discussing this, and also there's also content creator like Stock FPL and the FPL Wire also mentioning these are the candidates. Why? In terms of attacking the fixture, 13 and 16 has some fixture that you can present in terms of low ownership. This other than those Arsenal, who else? Chelsea, Palace, and those kind of things. I think game week 13, why people should think is because Arsenal are going to play Chelsea in this game week. And if you have like triple Arsenal or maybe one or two Chelsea players, so you already macam, kind of not a good week to have those players. And then at the same time, United will play Crystal Palace. So it's definitely those teams can. Myself, I have like 3 Palace asset. Some people have 2 United players like yourself. And what fixture that you can target in this game week? Liverpool playing West Ham. Villa playing Wolves. You mentioned about Wolves, right? Villa can. City playing Leeds. So you can thinking of, you might only have Haaland, not other City asset. You can bring in those players like Racket and did mention about O'Reilly there. This is what people are looking at. O'Reilly as potentially City asset you can bring in. And Brentford are playing Burnley. So most probably you have only Thiago. So you can have 2 more Brentford assets like Damsgaard, like Shade you mentioned there. So that's potentially upside in game week 13. For 16, there are plenty more upsides. Also, Villa playing West Ham, Fulham playing Burnley. So most probably you don't have any Fulham asset except Anderson. Brentford are going to play Leeds United. And then Arsenal going to play Wolves. Okay, fair. Kalau you dah ada the right asset for Arsenal, but you can target going for attack. The likes of Trossard, maybe Gyökeres are good at that juncture. You can get those players. And in that week, City are playing Crystal Palace. So like myself, I have like 3 Crystal Palace asset, not so good. And United going to play Bournemouth. So you have some Bournemouth and United players, although maybe you don't mind to have those assets playing each other, but those are the fixture are playing in game week 16. And for myself, I just want to mention here, I'm looking at a potentially free hitting game week 13 because I have a lot of from Arsenal, Chelsea, United, and Crystal Palace player in that game week. So what do you think, mate, in terms of free hitting? I'm looking at these 2 options.
So I'm looking at those 2, and just that, the free hit options for game week 13, for most teams just looks so much more attractive to me. And the Arsenal Chelsea thing issue, where we have probably at least 4 assets from these 2 teams, just makes it easier to pivot, especially. So you got, for example, City against Leeds, where maybe people only have Haaland, but this is where, because the midfield of City is like a minefield. But for free hit for 1 week, let's it. So the risk is just for 1 week. So it makes sense to go all in there. So and I think the biggest one which you mentioned, which is Crystal Palace, being there might be harder than it looks, but for Manchester against Manchester United and Manchester City. But for me, like having Cunha and Mbeumo does worry me against Palace. But a bit of a mitigating factor is the fact that because they are also playing in Europe, Crystal Palace will be coming off from Europe.
So you don't mind to have them.
Yeah, so maybe I don't know. So, but on the Crystal Palace side, it's definitely gonna hurt. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely gonna hurt.
Yeah.
And Game Week 13 with the Brentford Burnley. Those of you who don't have Thiago yet, or you want to wait for a while, so have him for this one, or don't have, or maybe you just don't have space. So this might be a great free hit time. Just pick up and let him bash through. And just to point out for Game Week 13, because there's also the TC option for
Yes.
Manchester City, which
I
is
think
for
we should
Haaland.
discuss me, because I think
Yeah.
30 also can opportunity for you to triple captain, because
So if your
Haaland
squad
playing
is manageable, then you could argue TC in in Game Week 13 and free hit in Game Week 16, if that's your fancy. There are other options we'll look at for the TC, but this Game Week 13 is definitely a TC option. And Haaland scored another 2 goals in international. That guy is just a machine at the moment. So yeah. So definitely.
I agree. And someone like you, this could be a good week for triple captain, because most probably others will look at this free hit option. Right?
Yeah, so because I no longer have a free hit, so but the only option for me here is to TC if I want to, or either, as we'll see, there's other options. But because I don't have that free hit, I need to maneuver my team to be able to manage it this week. So in a way, I only have 1 Chelsea and 2 Arsenal, so I might want to pivot a bit to reduce my dependency just for this week. So it needs some planning, but I think we can. I'm confident I can arrange it, but I have to face the horde of free hitters who will triple up on the likes of Villa. And the thing is, with Villa, no one's considering Watkins or Rogers at the moment. It's not no one, but very few. But this might just be again, as you say, just 1 week where we can bulldoze Wolves, and make off with the points. And that is something that people like me who don't have a free hit, it's hard for me to pivot towards that. That's where you can take advantage if you have a free hit.
I think you mentioned spot on just now, man. If you're thinking not free hitting this Game Week 13, triple captain will be your option, and you free hit in Game Week 16. So you have these 2 options. You can decide it depending on how your team structure will be. Let's take a look about triple captain option, because we already in that conversation. Triple captain option is from All About FPL, so you can just see their content, because he already presented case for triple captainship. For Haaland, if you are not doing it triple captain in Game Week 13, they play at home against Leeds. They have option in 15 against Sunderland, but Sunderland, right? They are not an easy meet despite they play at home. Then another option for Haaland will be at home against West Ham in Game Week 17. Probably that could be a better option than 15. If you're not 13, then you can go 15 or 17 if you trust Haaland. I think he's the machine right now. But if you don't go for Haaland, is there any other option? Man United could be another option. Bomo against West Ham in 14, or Bruno Fernandes defending. And another option, United playing Wolves at the last chance of activating those chips in Game Week 19. But Christmas period, you can't predict, right? But that could be a case that you can present. Other option, going for Arsenal asset in Game Week 16, because they are playing against Wolves at home. So Gabriel, Saka, or any other Arsenal asset could be a potential. But can I trust Arsenal? Can you predict which one? It's going to be tricky. So what do you think, mate?
Well, firstly, I strongly suggest not to wait to the very last game week to use your TC. What if I don't know if Mbuemo's back by then. It depends on where they progress, I guess. But what if Bruno gets injured in game week 18? Then your options suddenly look dry. So don't cut it too close. Don't risk that. Other than that, Haaland. You're right. I have totally ruled out Sunderland as a fixture to target these days. The thing with Haaland versus West Ham, West Ham are showing turnaround signs, and I don't know, it's still too far away. So if he's fit for game week 13, which it probably will be, I wouldn't wait. If you're not free hitting there, then you definitely should be TCing there in game week 13. I wouldn't wait because the other options, as attractive as they are, is just can't fight the Haaland machine. You've got Gabriel Wolves there. It's possible, but I don't know how Wolves will do. And it's still possible, but remember that they are in the midst of Champions League as well during that period as well. So it's something to be careful about. It's a punt if you want to go for Gabriel versus Wolves or Saka versus Wolves, but I can't see myself TCing a defender regardless. Yeah, I'd want someone who's regularly looking to score. Yeah. So it would be Saka. If I had him, then definitely I consider Saka against Wolves. So which narrows it down to two really. Haaland versus Leeds and Saka versus Wolves. I'm not confident of the Mbeumo versus West Ham, to be honest. Yeah. But if you are people who are free hitting in Game Week 13, then your options become 14 and 16, assuming you have those players. So in my order of preference will be Game Week 13, Haaland versus Leeds, Saka versus Wolves, and then third will be Mbeumo versus West Ham.
I think I kind of agree with your idea. Don't wait too long because you just don't know what's going to happen between those 16, 17, 18, 19 up to the new season. But if they say someone like me, free hitting in Game Week 13, I think it's going to be tough because I can only trust Haaland right now. I don't know whether I can trust any United or Arsenal players. So the only option I can see there is 15 or 17 if I free hitting in Game Week 13. But 70 is kind of quite long. Sunderland not the best fixture, but that could be the next best thing if you want to go early, despite playing Sunderland. But can you get a brace, Haaland brace against Sunderland? Probably, but your chance might not be as much playing against Leeds or West Ham. Yes. I think those are the dilemma that people will need to ask and see.
Where's your TC on at the moment, Hafiz?
I think if I'm not free hitting in Game Week 13, for sure it's 13. But if that 13 is free hitting, I think 15 or 17. 15 or 17. I can just say that at this juncture.
Okay.
All right. I think we will definitely discuss this moving forward. And last but not least, if you still have BB, where you should do it, maybe any week you can do it as long as you have healthy player. But I just want to revisit this back. We discussed it in our previous stream. Potentially, your enabler is Burnley, Leeds, or Sunderland. And you can see that you already missed that Game Week 5, 8, and 9 both. Whereas you can target. I'm not sure whether you can wait Game Week 18. Because if you have Dubravka, they're playing at home against Everton. You have Leeds or Sunderland players, they're playing each other in that week. Potentially, that could be the week. But you have to manage your team, how your team will come in at the 18. Other than that, where the next best window? Can I say 12? But Burnley playing Chelsea. Leeds playing Villa and Sunderland playing Fulham. But if you have Sunderland players, potentially you could still play against Fulham. Other than that, then Leeds are playing City, Sunderland playing Liverpool. You might not want to do that in Game Week 13, 14, and 15. But you have Burnley players, you can still play against Brentford or maybe Crystal Palace. But those are really a good team, right? And 16 could be a potentially another window because Leeds playing Brentford, Sunderland playing Newcastle. It's going to be tough. But where else that you can activate your BB main if you still have it?
No, but the thing is with Burnley, okay, so for the Game Week 18, I'm just taking a look there, and Everton Everton are still not the best goal scorers in the world. They still don't have
Yeah.
a striker who can score. So if you have a double up on, say, Dubravka and Hartman as your bench, then definitely game week 18, Burnley, at least they're at home. So it is a way for them to try to restrict and the possibility of a clean sheet. Not high, but it's your best bet. And then for those who have Sunderland, I know people who have the what's the center back's name?
Leeds
Can't
ke?
remember. Sunderland.
Sunderland. Oh,
Uh,
Alderete.
Andrete, or the other guy. Yeah. So this is a great opportunity there. Against Leeds. Of course, Rodon is there as well. If you fancy Rodon
Yeah,
on the
betul.
Leeds side, yeah. But I think the Sunderland's, those with Sunderland benches probably have it far better. But it is that Dubravka thing that really attracts it, because other than that game week, for those of you who had Dubravka, there's no other realistic week, I guess. Could you say the Burnley Fulham in game week 16 might be an option there? Yeah.
Can we take this question, Muhammad Azli mentioned Assalamualaikum,
Sure.
because he has question on his BB. He wants to do it this game week.
Yeah, it really depends on your team. Sorry, I don't know who are your bench players at the moment. But if we look at this week, Burnley against Chelsea, it's not great, even though it is at home. Yeah, then you have Leeds against Villa. If you remember, Villa are currently resurgent. They just trashed Bournemouth 4-0. Yeah, so Sunderland is your better bet against Fulham, who are very inconsistent at the moment. So I wouldn't recommend it, especially after an international break. You never know. There may be unforeseen absences, or suddenly your players not there, or late arrivals. I would not bench boost right after international break anyway. So please, I highly recommend you not doing it. Yeah. Otherwise, you might have a bench boost with only 3 players instead of 4, or even 2, which is not great.
I think 18 could be the next best thing if you have Dubravka or another Burnley defender. Potentially, if you have any Rodon or Sunderland defender, Alderete, Mukele, or even Ballard, right? So maybe 18 can, but the situation of those players are still up in the air up to 18. You just need to get. I think, if you ask me, I think Azmin might not agree. Maybe there are some weeks that I think your 15 players are available, just play it good. I don't think you can wait that much long, even though your team are playing City or Liverpool, right?
Okay, the nice thing about bench boosting in game week 18 is that in game week 16 you do have 5 free transfers suddenly available to you, so that will help you in terms of getting there. So that is something. So but you're right. Like for me, when I bench boosted last just before the international break, it was on that was one of the reasons, because I couldn't figure out who to bench, and then when I looked at my whole squad, everyone is fit, so I'll just use it. All my players played. Granted, Semenyo got 0, but all my players played. So yes, definitely, it has to be. You have to consider that. That if all your players are fit, maybe that's it, because you never know what happens down the road. But again, game week 18 looks great to do it, because you have a chance to prepare for it in game week 16. If you want to use your free transfers in that fashion, then you can, in anticipation of your bench boost.
Right, good stuff. We are deliberate in terms of chip strategy. We can revisit them in future stream. Let's take a look at game week 12. Who are playing who this week? The deadline will be on Saturday, 7 p.m. Malaysian time. The first kickoff will be Burnley versus Chelsea. So if you have Chelsea assets, you're pretty much excited to play this game, because Burnley are so-called the worst thing in terms of SGC. So these are the fixture. Then after that, 11 p.m., there are 5 fixture on Saturday. Bournemouth versus West Ham. You have Brighton versus Brentford. Fulham versus Sunderland. Liverpool playing Forest, and Wolves versus Palace. Rob Edwards will be first in charge in that game. And then we have Newcastle versus City. There are two interesting match this week. Newcastle are playing City, so it can be a tricky one for City potentially. We have Leeds versus Villa on Sunday, and then London Derby, North London Derby, Arsenal versus Spurs. Also pretty much the Super Sunday game. And then we close off on Monday night match. United entertaining Everton at Old Trafford. Wow, which fixture I look at? I think Newcastle City and Arsenal Spurs will be the tough match on paper, mate.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Newcastle is that they will be missing Dan Burn, who has been ever present. I think Nick Pope is coming off a concussion, so he doesn't go. But we do not. But he should be okay for this match, arguably. And earlier I spoke about Newcastle's better defensive record. At home they are better, so which is making people questioning, is Haaland the right captain pick here? Yeah, but given Haaland's form at the moment, it's very hard to go against it. So you'll need something special. That something special could be Palace against Wolves, if you fancy that, because Wolves are the worst team at the moment. So you could argue having captaining Mateta as an option. Probably not Sarr, because Mateta takes penalties. Probably Mateta over Sarr. Yeah. And that's but other than that, you have Chelsea versus Burnley, which, to be fair, so Enzo didn't travel. I'm not sure with how Pedro traveled this time. I don't think he did. No. He did, but Brazil's matches are in Europe anyway, so they're not. They're friendlies.
Okay.
Yeah, they're friendly, so they're all in Europe, so not an issue this time. No tracking flight. But but that's the early match though, so they're a bit more lethargic at the start, so that's a problem. But of course, the match that we have to, the biggest focus is that Arsenal versus Spurs match, and where most of us have 2 or 3 Arsenal assets, plus Van der Ven if we're lucky. So that definitely could be a captaincy option for Saka. If you look at it that way, that is something. And the plus point over that, it is at home. It's us. That's because all the other favorable matches, which is Chelsea, Burnley, Crystal Palace, Wolves, City,
they're playing
away. Yeah, and I don't look at that Liverpool Forest match as a targetable fixture, unfortunately. So
Azri asked this guy, maybe we should not be overthinking. Just Captain Haaland this game with us. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm currently, my captaincy is on Haaland because I don't have that overthinking capacity for my captaincy at the moment.
Yeah.
So let's
even
see.
FPL did mention about Captain Newcastle.
Yeah,
but if let's say you want to go against the grain, don't want to go for Haaland, you're thinking about maybe there's opportunity to get upper hand from other matches. You mentioned about Mateta, that could be an option. You mentioned about Arsenal. Maybe tough on paper, but Arsenal could expected to win this game. So Saka could be an option. He's on penalty, I suppose. Chelsea, but do you captain João Pedro? Probably you are inclined to do that, but they're playing away, so anything is possible. How about Bournemouth, West Ham? If Semenyo fit, can Semenyo be a candidate?
No, considering Bournemouth have blanked the last. Semenyo has blanked the last 3 games, and West Ham have shown signs of improvement and won their last 2 games. So, granted, they conceded in both games that they won, but you also we did mention that Semenyo might be injured, so we'll have to wait team news for that one. But I wouldn't captain Semenyo given the form Bournemouth are in at the moment.
And Semenyo did miss a penalty, right, against Villa.
True. So, the funny thing is his competitor for the penalty, which is Clivert, might be injured as well. So let's see.
Okay, how
I,
about how about another option? United against Everton. Could Mbomo be an option?
yeah, I like the idea. I just feel wary about Everton being their defense as under Moyes is still better.
Yeah,
You
okay.
mentioned Mbeumo, but what about Bruno? You tell me, Bruno.
Ah,
If you mention Mbeumo, I will deal you back. What about Bruno for that fixture? Yeah.
gonna be tough. I think everyone gonna captain Haaland, but if you want to be different, I think there are options, right? I think so.
Yeah.
I just need to.
There's also the Aston Villa Leeds one, but then because we don't really have many
Yeah.
Villa assets, we're not invested in Villa assets.
How about Thiago against Brighton, Brentford?
Away, I'm not so sure. Although granted, Thiago has scored away as well. Brighton did keep a clean sheet when they played away for the first time this season. I think last week, before the IB, that they kept the clean sheet. Or since game week on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they haven't really kept much clean sheets. So I like having him here, but I wouldn't captain him.
Okay, all right. I think we have closed that conversation. Haaland as one, but if not, then yes, you have to pick your better. Whether Arsenal, United, Chelsea, and so on. Let's go to our team, We already 1:50 minutes. Let's go to our team. This is my team. I have 2 chips left, 0.3 million in the bank, 2 free transfer. And my plan is to roll a transfer and prepare for the game week 13. Although game week 13 could be potentially where I'm going to free hit. Like, just to read out my team, some excellent matches this week because I have 3 Bournemouth assets who are playing at home against West Ham, Petrovic, Senesi, and Semenyo. At this juncture, I'm benching Senesi, but probably he could be into my lineup later. But I have Richards, I have Gabriel, I have Anderson playing at home against Sunderland. Richards playing away to Wolves. Gabriel still suspected injured, but if he's fit, then I'll play him against Spurs. So Senesi is still fighting for his place. It's going to be tough who I'm going to bench this week if everyone is fit. Bruno Fernandes, Enzo, Semenyo, Sa, and Saka. Against Spurs, I have Haaland as my captain this week and Mateta away to Wolves. I'm going to bench Van der Ven for sure this week. I'm going to bench Dubravka playing at home against Chelsea. The question is Senesi, whether I'm going to bench him, or I think it will be easier if, let's say, I know Enzo or Gabriel injured. But if that's not the case, or Semenyo injured, but it's not the case, probably I'm going to play Senesi over Richards playing away to Wolves. But it's not great, right? So I'm not sure. I think I'm going to roll a transfer this week. And I have some dilemma in who I'm going to play from my defense. What do you think, man?
Okay, first, if Gabriel is injured, Senesi comes in immediately. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Let's say Gabriel is.
Yeah,
right.
Easy. Yeah.
And if Semenyo is injured, let's say if Semenyo and Gabriel injured, does it mean Senesi and Van der Ven come? But let's say Semenyo is injured, but not a serious one, but enough to keep him out.
That will be tricky one.
Senesi and Van der Ven.
So if it's not a long one, I think I'm going to play Senesi and Van der Ven. It's like it.
Yeah, you still just hang on to your Gabriels and Semenyos, right? Yeah.
But if it's a long one, especially for Semenyo, then he might be out probably for Thiago. So I can do that option. I have 2 free transfer, change my fund to upfront and play Thiago, who are going to play
Thiago and Semenyo to Chippy.
Yeah. That could be a potentially because Brentford playing away to Brighton, but next week they're going to play against Burnley, right? So that could be an excellent pick. But it all depends on the injury list, right? I think I need to think what's the option. Potentially, I roll a transfer and play my benches. That could be an option.
Yeah, but would you? Just now you mentioned you might play Senesi over Richards. Is that?
Yeah, I think I will favor player who are playing at home first, then
Yeah.
away.
You
But
having Anderson back, I is a bit jealous because at least Anderson seems quite reliable despite playing for a team that's having problems. No, okay. Yeah, but then you used two transfers to do that. But yeah, better now than wait, I suppose. Mhm.
but I will think about that.
Yeah,
For sure.
let's see. Because in Semenyo's injuries, they said it was anterior ligament, so sounds serious. I'm no physio, but it sounds serious. But we don't know the extent yet. Let's see.
I'm gonna explore what option that I have. Can
Yeah.
I go for a Mbomo? I don't think I have fun. So we shall see.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
Let's go to your teammate, which
Okay.
is you have used your 3 chips left with 3 per captain. You have 2 free transfer main, but no money in the bank.
Yeah. No money in the bank. So Donnarumma, Timber, Gabriel, Ballard, Cunha, Enzo, Semenyo, Vemo, Bowen, Haaland, and Thiago. Bench Dubravka, Diouf, Van der Ven, and KDH. Yeah, he got the bench right, although maybe the order I need to work on that. So Bowen, yeah, so they play
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth and
Bournemouth.
okay, captaincy not on Bowen lah. Okay, so it's last week.
Okay.
So captaincy will be on Haaland.
All right.
It's hard pressed for me to sell Bowen. So before all these injuries started happening, I was already looking to exit Cunha and admitting to myself that this might be a failed move and maybe I'll just limit the damage to sell him out.
Okay.
So for the past few days, all I was looking at was Rice, Szoboszlai, in terms, and even Zaka if I wanted to free up some funds to use elsewhere. Just looking for those who take set pieces. Rice and Dubravka both take set pieces as well. So that was really what I was looking at in terms of moving. But then, and now if Semenyo is injured, then I might still keep my beloved Cunha and sell Rice and sell Semenyo instead. Where it's about the same pricing, slightly cheaper, Rice or Szoboszlai, and do that. But at the same time, at the back of my head, I'm wondering whether KDH could do something against United though. So that's the part that bothers me in terms of who I want to bench. Enzo, as he plays Burnley, but he's been so annoying in that the last 3 games he's failed to return despite some good matchups. But of course, Enzo might be injured as well. But again, if Enzo's short-term injury, I'll just move KDH up for him, not an issue. If Gabriel is injured, I get to choose. And between Diouf and Van der Ven, I'm more inclined to put Van der Ven in actually.
Wow. Wow.
Right. Yeah. So I have to look at the injury status, of course.
Man, you give me an idea just now. Then Szoboszlai could be an interesting choice, right? And the fixture are right for Liverpool. So I might think of that.
You could go that route, yeah. It is a possibility. I like Rice more at this stage, but
I can understand that Rice also can be an option for me. Yeah, because I only have like 2 Arsenal assets. If I'm right, let me check. Yeah, I'm not triple up on Arsenal yet, so I still have an option.
And because my other option before all these injuries happened was to even roll and just use if I'm not happy with Cunha, then just bench him for KDH and see what happens. They both in the same match anyway, so yeah. So that's where I'm looking at the moment. I like the fact having 2 free transfers is good, especially currently right now with all the injuries that's starting to come in. So we'll see. I'm not happy with Cunha in my squad at the moment, but as it stands, I might end up keeping him.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm still at the back of my head is still that game week 13 where people are free hitting and I can't. So I may adjust, if I wanted to say, let's say, have a Watkins, for example. So I might want to prepare for that, which means I would, let's say I sell Semenyo but go for someone cheaper like Zaka, for example. And the following week, I would sell Bowen to bring in Watkins. That is something that's at the back of my head. Actually, no, come to think of it, if I remember Watkins pricing, I can sell Semenyo for Zoboslai or Rice, and there's still enough money for me to upgrade Bowen to Watkins if I chose to go that way.
Good stuff. We have plenty to think because this is an early week of Game Week 12 for sure. Let's take some question in and wrap it up from Rakan FPL for sure, and also Azli. If Gabriel confirmed injured for a long time, is Munoz the right replacement? I never really thought of that yet. I thought going for another Arsenal defense, but what do you think?
I did. This popped up to me. I think I posted on Twitter or Blue Sky yesterday or this morning. Yes, it's definitely an option for me at the moment, especially if you don't have any Crystal Palace assets. I think it's actually quite viable, and it frees up some of your funds as well. So I would go for it.
Won't we do the sideways move to any Arsenal defense? You like that more than this, is it?
Yeah, but who do you have left? If you already doubled up, then what do you do? Because you team Gabriel to Saliba,
Probably.
Yeah, because you wouldn't go Timber if you already have Timber. And Calafiori we're not sure what his status is. So yeah, you could, yeah, definitely. Because and one thing I feel that the impact of not having Gabriel, I think Arsenal's defense is still quite strong. They can still keep clean sheets without him.
Right, good stuff. If you have an option to get any United player at the juncture, you don't have anyone, would you go Bruno or Mbomo? I will answer this. I'm going to say Mbomo is the better option right now because he's been scoring goal. That's what I can say.
You know where I stand, so I've always been under Mbomo over Bruno.
Okay. How about Salah main conversation? Not everyone talking about Salah right now.
So the question is keep Salah, then yes. If you already have Salah, then yeah, definitely keep him. I think you might as well for this run of fixtures.
Yeah, I can agree on that. Will not qualify for World Cup affecting FPL assets on?
So
probably, but
so this is a question with the players like Soboslai.
Yeah.
So will they now channel the energies to focus on doing well, or are they gonna like simmer for a bit, not in the right state? But professionals being as they are, it shouldn't. But we know that's not necessarily true.
I like this question, O'Reilly or Delay, but I more to incline on this O'Reilly conversation. This is what people are looking at. His price risen to 5.0 million. Is he an option, Min? I never really thought of this.
He is, given the fact that other City options, which is Vardiol, and now I think Ryan Nuri is also fit, but then he's still going to AFCON. Yeah, so O'Reilly looks like a decent option. So between O'Reilly and Delight, I still go for O'Reilly because United keeping clean sheets is still not a strong thing. So I would still go for O'Reilly.
All right. Last but not least, midfielder Spurs is okay. I think Kudus injured, right? So I'm not sure who you're going to recommend. Yeah.
Nah, I wouldn't go for midfield Spurs. I've been on the record saying midfield Spurs are a minefield. You just don't really know who's going to be the one delivering. It's not Johnson anymore.
Yeah. Question for you from Brandon. Any difference about this game week? Who would be your pick?
I mean, he's already on my team, so I don't think that qualifies as a differential much. But because even most people who have him might bench him anyway, so Dewsbury Hall, that's a differential. Someone to consider.
All right, great stuff. Thank you all for the question. we have wrapped it up for Gameweek 12 preview. The deadline will be on Saturday this week. So just be aware and wait for the pressure from the managers. We want to know all the news in terms of injury. Gabriel, Semenyo, Enzo. Who else, man? Did I miss? Those are the players that are Clivert. You mentioned.
Gabriel.
All right. Your last word, man.
So yeah, I'm really thinking, because part of me feels that if these injuries are serious, I want to just roll. But yeah, wait until all the team news is in. On the same old news after an IB. Pay attention to as much team news as you can. No, don't make any hasty moves yet. And whatever moves you make, always think about where your chips are heading before you make those transfers. The rest of your chips, because you only have about 7 game weeks to use all your chips if you haven't already. So yeah, good luck.
Right. Good luck to everyone. We are back because the fixtures are coming thick and fast after this. So good luck to everyone. Take care until we meet again. Bye-bye.
Bye.